I kind of like what the person was going for with the legs, but I think that this piece needs a bit more elevation. What do you think? Hello beautiful people and welcome to another video. As you can see, the sideboard slash buffet is in a pretty rough condition. Someone tried to sand this before, so there's almost no veneer left and there are very deep marks from sanding, so I had very little hope that I was going to be able to save the veneer. I soaked all the hardware in vinegar just to make it easier for me to clean it later on. Because there was no top coat on this buffet and I had nothing to lose, I was actually pretty much convinced I had to replace the veneer altogether. I gave it a try and I applied oxalic acid just to see if I could remove the stains. What you can't see in the video is how deep the scratches were, and even if I tried to raise the grain and then I did a little bit of sanding, that probably wouldn't be enough. As if he knew what was coming, Hugo stopped by to give me a quick cuddle. I let it dry overnight and I came back the next morning to see what it looked like. And no, I'm not happy about the results, I'm just listening to some music. Unfortunately, I was right and I gave it a quick sanding just to confirm. I used 180 sandpaper just to see if there was anything left to sand, and as you can see, there wasn't. The sides, however, were untouched, so I used my bio stripper to remove the varnish. And while the paint stripper was doing its thing, I went to pick up some maple veneer. It was a really big piece. Unfortunately, it was a nice day, so I went outside to cut it. And with some help from my little fairy friend, it took me 5 times longer than it would have otherwise. I applied glue to both surfaces and I let it dry. No. And as you can see, my little friend was very eager to help. Removing the varnish from the sides was pretty straightforward, and once I was done, I used some mineral spirit and steel wool to clean it up. Because this glue was taking forever to dry, I used my heat gun to speed up the process. And I went outside to cut some more pieces for the doors and for the drawers. And if you're new to my channel, you should know that this is not my cat and I have no idea whose cat it is. After roughly cutting the veneer to size, I went through the whole process again and I applied glue both to the surfaces of the doors and drawers and to the veneer, and I let it dry. When the glue was dry, I used my iron to reactivate it and to make the veneer stick to the surface of the buffet. And when I was done with that, I used my router and a flash trim bit to trim the excess veneer. I repeated the same process on the doors and I used my X-Acto knife to trim the excess veneer, as it was easier to do it this way. So I decided I was not gonna keep the original legs. Obviously, I'm kidding, this is just ridiculous, and the fact that someone used those huge nails to nail them in are just so funny. And as you can see, there was actually a big hole on the other side that I had to repair. After taking those legs off, I could have a good look at the bottom. I give it a clean and quick sanding, and I also noticed that there was a piece of wood that was broken off, so I had to repair it. And to do that, I used a straight cut bit. I marked how much wood I wanted to remove, and I used a guide rail just to make sure I would get a nice and straight cut. I set the depth on my router and I removed the area that I marked previously. And then I used a scrap piece of wood and I cut a piece that would fit into this available space. I glued it in place, and when it was dry I used a small hand plane just to make it flush with the back. And because it wasn't perfect, I used some wood filler just to make it a bit nicer. I cleaned up the back of this buffet and I also sanded the sides. Just a quick shout out to all those amazing, generous people who support me via Buy Me Coffee, my Amazon wishlist link, or by hitting the Super Thanks button. That makes a huge difference and I really appreciate it. And all the links are down below if you're interested. Thank you. Even though the repair was on the bottom of this buffet and no one was going to see this, I used a water-based stain to color match it to the rest. And I attached mounting plates for the legs. Even though I was actually thinking of making a base for this piece, just because of the curves and the shape of it, I decided that the legs that I had in mind were gonna work much better than the base. And yes, I removed the green fabric from the bottom of the drawer, but I lost the footage. The damage on the insides of the drawers and the buffer was not bad enough to justify sanding, so I just used Restore Finish and it did a brilliant job. This is the hole from the nail that I removed and I just used some wood filler to fill it in. I sanded it down and then I used some furniture markers to create fake grain and to make it look like the rest of the wood surrounding it. I'm making it a bit darker now just because I know that I'm going to apply the finish and it will look a bit different later on. I used a microfiber cloth to apply hard wax oil to the bottom of the buffet. And these are the legs that I decided to go with. I loosely put them on and I applied the stain. Though this is not the color that I decided to go with eventually, so pay no attention. I mean, pay attention, but keep in mind that this is not the right color. I'm just doing some final sanding with 220 sandpaper, and because the veneer on the door on the inside was actually pretty nice, so I just used Restore Finish. And I also sanded the top, and when I was done I used mineral spirit which allows you to see any imperfections such as bubbling from the glue that I used to apply the veneer or some scratches from sanding, but also it gives you a good idea what the wood will look like once the finish is on. As you recall, I didn't replace the veneer on the sides of the buffet, so I had to color match the new veneer to the one that was already on, and this seems to be the best choice. I used a tack cloth to remove any remaining dust, and I was ready for the stain. This is a spirit-based stain, color Jacobean, I think that's how you say it, from Morels. I've been using them for a few months now, and I'm super happy with them. They're very easy to work with, they dry quickly, and there are plenty of colors to choose from. This is hard wax oil that I'm applying, and I've been using this for a few months now. I'm very happy with it because it gives you a lot of flexibility. If you want higher sheen, you simply apply more coats, and if you add some mineral spirit to it, it will actually decrease the sheen. At this point, I'm mostly done with the project. I'm just doing some finishing touches. And because this hardware was soaked in vinegar, it was pretty easy to clean it up with some steel wool and Barkeeper's Friend. I really hope you enjoyed this video and perhaps maybe even learned something new. Now I'm just putting back the manufacturer's label and my own logo on the back of the buffet. Before I show you the final results, I just want to say a huge thank you for watching, and please do check out my other videos. I post several times per month. All the products, the tools that I use and everything else you might be interested in, I put down below in the description, so do check it out. And thank you again for watching, and see you in the next video.